My name is Ginger DeClue. I'm really excited that you're here. I know that you are looking for results. You are ready to change. Maybe you saw one of my ads or you saw some of my organic content about making a radical health transformation with perhaps HSV, HPV, PCOS. You're just tired of being in this position where you're not getting the health results. You've tried the naturopath, you've tried the supplements, you have invested some money into yourself, but it hasn't taken you all the way, and you're ready to go all the way in terms of longevity, optimization, and living your best life out loud. You are ready to be the most successful version, the most embodied version of you. It's okay to want it all. I want it all. And if you want it all, you're in the right place. So again, my name is Ginger DeClue. I am a detox coach, a business expert, and a quasi social media influencer personality person. I have been helping others on their healing journey since 2019. Just a little backstory about me. I actually had my own health process that I had to go through, starting all the way back in 2009 when I actually had a vaccine injury. I think we can say vaccine on here. Vaccine injury from Gardasil. A whole cascade of things happened when I got that vaccine. I ended up also having a root canal done, which we now know is very toxic. And within weeks of this whole process, I also had my appendix removed. So I have a 6-inch scar on my abdomen. So when I speak on healing, when I speak on health, I come from physically experiencing the trauma and the pain of, being mishandled by big pharma and by doctors, and by not having the proper processes in place for optimization and health. And this actually led me to being hospitalized. I had encephalitis. I struggled with pericarditis for years, which is where the lining of your heart becomes inflamed. And so I had to study and learn how to heal myself. And through that process, I started to share in living my life out loud. And I think that's what you're drawn here to. It's not just about getting answers to PCOS. It's not just getting answers to HSV. This is about optimizing for the best you. And that's what I embody, is really when you come close to death, like I did, I just decided I was going to have everything. I was going to be the healthiest, wealthiest, most in love version of me, because why not? And so going through that process, and then unfortunately losing my mother, she was just 55 in 2019. She had a stroke that was caused by poor diet choices and trusting in big pharma, trusting in doctors. And I made it my mission in life on her deathbed to share about natural healing and to share about detoxification and fasting. And so I turned my Instagram influence that was kind of just honestly about me, and I turned it into something that was about you, and it was about the world, and it was about helping others get where they needed to be. And that's when I started doing consulting, teaching people about health, teaching iridology classes and the like. And now we have had close to 5,000 people come through our processes since 2019. And it's been phenomenal. You can see some of those transformations like I spoke about. Maybe you saw my ads about, Jalen and Dominique and Danielle, these different women I've worked with to eradicate HSV, which wasn't just causing, insecurities with their body, but it was stopping them from living their life. Or, women who are trying to go for their dream career and they just are not able to reach the pinnacle because 93% of all communication is nonverbal. And if your skin isn't glowing, if your hormones aren't balanced, you're communicating that you're inferior and you're never going to be able to get where you want to go. And I'm dedicated to helping my clients get to that rarefied air in life. And that's, what we've done. So I want to kind of go over today what the process is working with me. Maybe you got this video because you booked a call or you clicked on an ad. And again, we're going to go deep. If this is something that you're serious about, you are just ready to go to that top of the pinnacle of the mountain, you're in the right place. So really we need to restore your system. We need to restore your organs, and just a little couple of reasons why you may be, having some issues with optimization. Perhaps you had multiple infections as a child. Maybe you had MRSA. Maybe you were given antibiotics. Maybe you were having your appendix removed or a gallbladder taken out, thyroid issues, tonsil stones, or maybe you were given some kind of like mystery diagnosis, Hashimoto's. You were given poisonous birth control. Birth control is an entire chapter. It needs to be a book, okay? And how much harm it causes the body. And this is why we have a lot of women who can't get pregnant, who are in the wrong marriage. You know, if you start dating a person while on the pill, it usually means you're dating someone who's biologically the wrong match for you. This is how deep it goes. Maybe you're struggling with irregular periods, PCOS, fibroids, endometriosis, or a miserable menopause. FYI, menopause does not have to be miserable. And you've been told your whole life, this is genetics, it's going to catch up to you. You know, none of this is true. Perhaps you've already tried, and I really want to emphasize this. This is not a beginner process. You know, I definitely would love to meet with you and we can talk about it. But this process is, you know, for the person who's maybe already kind of tried the naturopath, you tried a little acupuncture, you tried a little cleansing yourself, and you know that you need something more in depth. You need to really be invested. These surface level things just weren't cutting it. The detox teas, the pills, the supplements, and maybe you're here because you're interested in learning about peptide therapy, which is something that we're able to do inside of the process now, which I'm really excited to be offering with assistance from our medical providers. You know, people hear peptides, they think just GLP-1s, but there's a host of peptides that, you know, we can play with. And maybe you've been playing with the peptides and you're not really sure what you're doing. You're not really sure what's the proper application. And like I said, I'm very excited to be, you know, offering these things for clientele who is a little bit more sophisticated, already been through the surface and ready to go deep. The truth is, though, we need to strip back first. We can't add more to a bucket that's got 5 pounds of shit in it. It's a 10-pound bucket, or what's the saying? It's a 10-pound bucket with 5 pounds of shit. Your body is toxic. And this is why you have viruses. This is why you have HPV and infections, is that every day our body is exposed to parasites. It's exposed to toxicity. And these things contribute to symptoms. Doctors aren't taught to treat the underlying cause. And I know if you're a respected, academic, you have degrees and you're succeeding, and maybe you play golf with doctors and medical professionals, they're trained on symptom management. They are not trained on root cause. As sophisticated as they just are not given that fundamental basis. And you can't build a house on sand, right? We have to build our health house on rock, bedrock. So when you have parasites and plaques, you know, starting from our diet, that's just not the right diet for a man. We should not be eating so much meat. We should not be eating so much processed foods. And listen, I understand you live a life that you're traveling, you're going on, you know, vacations because you work hard and you deserve it. And something I want to emphasize here is resilience. We want to build up resilience so that when you have that splurge and you go in on the tomahawk or a bottle of wine because you made President's Club, it's not breaking your body back down to the foundations. So when we start to clean up the body, we start to clean out these parasites, that's when we start to find symptom relief and, again, building up resilience, okay? So in the process that we're going to walk you through, we are going to address the parasites. We're going to address the gut. Parasites house a lot of infections, okay? And this is how I've helped my students, my clients to test negative, okay, for HSV, HPV. I have video testimonials. I have God knows how many text messages, people getting pregnant finally after their cervix was almost taken out of their body because the HPV was so bad. Parasites are essentially like a little third dimensional demon. Maybe you have cravings, right? You need rest. And I want to call you out specifically if you're a very busy professional, if you're busy with your life right now as a mom. You don't need more food. I just want to let you know, food takes a lot of energy to digest. Food does not necessarily feed us unless you're running a marathon. Yes, the food is going to be feeding these muscles, but if you're constantly having cravings, you put the kids to bed and you're still hungry, this is a sign that you're dealing with parasites. You're, getting back from your convention, shout out to convention season, you're coming back to your room after the convention and you just want to hit those trolley, gummy worms. That's not hunger. That's a worm. Okay. So we need to clean those out and understand that these worms affect the entire body because we have something called leaky gut. And when you eat a lot of processed food, when you're in the air a lot, which again, a big life requires big responsibilities. To whom much is given, much is required. But when you're exposed to a lot of radiation, you're in the air, you're at altitude, it is going to break down the gut barrier. So this is where I'm excited to introduce the conversation about certain types of peptides I'd like to introduce, again, to build up that resiliency. Because again, parasites break down the gut lining, the gut wall, and then you end up with feces literally spilling out into your abdomen, causing PCOS, causing endometrial tissue growth. So we need to get, and clean that up. So we're going to use a specific process of certain foods and herbs. And again, understanding and adapting this to your life, depending on where you are in your season of life. I want this to work for you. I understand that you can't lock yourself away for 6 months and hide. You have to live. So this process will work with your life through, specific process to clean the gut. And I just also want to briefly discuss the lymphatic system and how symptoms are oftentimes your body's way of communicating with you. So we have anywhere from 30 to 100 trillion cells in our body. And these cells comprise our skin, our eyes, our hair, our liver, our lungs, our brain. And these cells are creating exhaust. Think about a McLaren 700 horsepower. It's putting the gas to the pedal to the metal and the exhaust comes out of the back because that engine is using a lot of fuel. And then that fuel creates byproduct of waste that comes out of the tailpipe as gas. Now, I need you to think of yourself as the 700 horsepower McLaren. That's this amazing system. But imagine if you locked the McLaren inside of the garage and you closed the door and you put your foot on the gas pedal. Well, you would suffocate from the fumes. And this is what's happening inside of the body. Too often, I see practitioners give more supplements, peptides therapy, all this, more. And the body is already overloaded. What the body really needs is an oil change, a new air filter, so that we can get rid of some of this excess waste that the cells have produced. Because again, if that cell waste backs up in the body, we start experiencing what's called symptoms. So that might start out with lackluster skin, hormonal imbalance. You walk into a room and 93% of that communication is nonverbal. And when I say nonverbal, it's not just about how you look, it's your magnetic field, it's your nervous system field, and it's your hormones. Yes, everyone that you're interacting with is smelling you, believe it or not. It's biological. And so if you're full of trash, what are they smelling exactly? What kind of presence do you bring to a room? Because you could be all made up in great clothes, but if the hormones are off, we're going to know. And it's going to show up as you're number 2 in the class when you should be number 1. You got passed over for that promotion when you know that you can do the work. And again, you maybe been brushing these things off and your lymphatic is backed up. The skin isn't quite clear. The hair isn't quite there. And unfortunately, these things get overlooked for too long. Next thing you know, you have cysts. Next thing you know, you have fibroids. Your weight isn't just weight, it's waste. With STE, waste. This conversation I had, interestingly enough, over the weekend about what is fat. What is fat, right? What is the difference between a mom who has baby weight as a survival mechanism in case of a famine versus a person who doesn't have kids but is holding on to waste? That is not just fat. That's why it hurts. That's why it's inflamed. That's why when you take your socks off at night, you see the line around your ankle because your body is storing waste in a very sophisticated way that, as with all my years experience, I still don't have all the words for it. But I do know this. Once you start to address the underlying symptoms, you feel fantastic. You're lean, you're light, and you're electric. And not just electric, you're grounded in. This is what 2026 is really demanding. It's demanding that electricity in the ether gets grounded in. And so sadly, eventually these things turn into things like cancer. They turn into fibroids, for women, oftentimes endometrial tissue and hormonal imbalance. And maybe you're thinking, well, what does cell waste in a garbage can full of exhaust have to do with my hormones? Well, your kidneys are responsible for flushing out your cellular waste, okay? And so when these 30 to 100 trillion cells are producing trash, that trash goes to the lymph. Then the lymph pushes that to lymph nodes, your tonsils, your spleen, right? Your appendix. Then from the lymph nodes, it then is pushed to the kidneys to be filtered, and then you pee it out of your bladder. And so when that backup happens, you're experiencing issues with the lymph. But on top of the kidneys, there's two organs called the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are responsible for communicating with your thyroid, with your pancreas. If you've heard of diabetes or insulin problems, it's also responsible for communicating with your balls, your testicles, your ovaries, your pituitary. All these glands are depending on your lymphatic system to be really strong and healthy. And if they're not, you're going to have hormonal imbalance. Then, of course, we have, like I was talking about, this very critical component. I like using the car analogy. I like using the horsepower for the year of the horse 2026. You could have this amazing motor, but if the electrical system is fried out, it's not going to run. And if you can't take the ether and bring the electricity down into the earth, you have nothing to show for it. So this year is really about cleaning up the electrical system as well. And when we think about diseases like HSV, which ties itself to the nervous system, we think about diseases like MS. I've helped a lot of people with MS. Unfortunately, a lot of times people with MS aren't even in a position to get help because they don't have a job. And unfortunately, I'm not in a position to help people who are not working at a high level. So don't get there, right? If you're succeeding in life and you're winning, don't let these symptoms sneak up. And next thing you know, you're not winning, you're losing. Okay. I've seen it far too often with very talented people. They let these things slide. They let the depression symptoms, the anxiety symptoms slip. And unfortunately, we just had in Hollywood, Eric Dane passed away. He got the vaccine and he was very proud about that. And his nervous system shut down and he died. So these are very serious situations. You could gain the world, but don't lose your soul, as it says in, I think that's Matthew. So when we have a weak nervous system, heavy metals, HSV, tingling, numbness, it's not connecting, right? You have great ideas. You have this great vision for your company or for your business, and it's just not connecting. Autism, hair loss, these things are all tied. So we got to clean the nerves. We got to clean the metals. We're going to do that in this process. We're going to strengthen. And again, another word I like is resiliency. We're going to build up that resiliency. So, because honey, you're going to get exposed. We're going to be in the air. We're going to get the radiation exposure, but we have to be resilient. We have to know what to do when we get exposed. Finally, the liver and gallbladder. Shout out to making President's Club. Shout out to hitting those milestones. When that liver gets overloaded because you had a little bit too much to drink, or maybe you used some pills, right? You use a little Adderall or something to push because you're pushing for success, and your liver's taking a beating, right? It's had a couple too many drinks, it's had a couple too many pills, and now you get a little pain in your shoulder. You're not really sure what that is, but it hurts. And next thing you know, you're going to the emergency room at 2:00 in the morning to get your gallbladder taken out. And again, these are stories I've heard many thousands of times. So we got to clean that out. The liver and gallbladder also hold viruses, bacteria. So we're going to go through a process of cleaning out the system. We're going to get you on track. And we're going to do this by using my process that I've developed over the last 17 years. You can see the testimonials on the website. And I think if you follow me, you maybe have built some trust that I do know how to take you out of this problem you have and get you to the solution you want, to get you to the life you want. I'm simply just the bridge. And I really want to help you. So inside the process, we're going to work with you. We're going to get blood labs. We're going to see where you are with your hormone panels. We're going to work with my medical team to make sure that you are on track for optimized longevity, optimized health, and an optimized life, darling. So if you haven't already booked that call or you're going to be on that call, thank you for watching this video. I just like to kind of go over what's included. The process is customized, based on your lifestyle. But again, I do have the process that I've built over the years. And it's only gotten better with the addition of the medical team, the ability to recommend specific peptides specific for you with the guidance of a doctor, which is really exciting. So again, glad to see you on the call. You might be meeting with me. You might be meeting with someone on my team. You will be working with me. And again, I'm very happy for you that you took this time to learn about the process and really make the decision now. You know, you're ready. It's not are you, it's you are ready. It's just a matter of let's walk through the bridge together. So as I always say, your health is your wealth. The only way that you're going to get chosen is if you choose you. And this is why you need to pick you with Sunstones by DeClue.